Okay, good evening, everybody. You can just raise your hands if you can hear me loud and clear. Can everyone hear me? Okay, that's great. Okay, so let's get started. My name is Marot, and I'm doing this webinar from my home in Johannesburg, South Africa. And I just wanted to welcome all of you on the webinar tonight and apologize for last night. But at least we get a chance to do it. So tonight's going to be pretty interesting. My first question to you is, are you struggling with the perfect words to explain what you do? Okay, do you know what it is that you do? Because some people don't. Okay, many partners know that they have health products and there's a financial model attached to this, but how do they get the message across to the prospects that they have this incredible product or this incredible business opportunity? And how does the partner make the prospect excited to the point that he and she wants to know more? Okay, so I know that a lot of you, some of you find it's like public humiliation every time you open your mouth, and some of you have told me that you have this fear of speaking on the phone, and you don't really know what to say over the phone, and you can't find that connect, or you're scared that you might say something that's stupid. Okay, so how do you overcome this, and what is it that you should say? Now, 2 weeks ago we went over scripts on how this works. So we're not going to go over scripts today, but we're going to go over how you make your pitch juicy when someone asks you, what do you do? Okay, I have 2 VSI leaders on the webinar tonight who are going to share what they do and how they do it from South Africa, and one amazing leader from America that will come on later. And I'm sure you can guess who it is, but I'm not going to tell you. Okay, so let's have a look at some common situations. Okay, I'm not sure if any of you have ever heard about the elevator pitch. All right, well, it doesn't work. And if you don't know what it is, I'm going to enlighten you right now. The elevator pitch is a metaphor, although I must say that sometimes it's literally implemented by many without them even knowing that they're doing it. So the metaphor is when you corner someone and know that you only have a short time with them and you blurb all over them as quickly as you possibly can and talk mostly about yourself instead of focusing on the prospect. Okay, so here we have a little picture, quite amusing. This is known as the common salesperson scenario. Okay, they want to sell a product, or they want to sell something, and it's all about them and what they know. Well, let me tell you, this doesn't work anymore. The catchy, cute, catchy phrase doesn't work. Why? Because it's not focused on your prospect; it's focused on you. It's too general, and it doesn't tie in with a clear marketing message. And many partners think that they think that they're getting their message across, but in actual fact, it's more important to listen to the person. So let me tell you, folks, it's not all about rambling on about having a short, juicy intro. Before you even introduce your little pitch or your intro as to what you do, you need to work with that person and establish where they're at and find out what their need is by poking them in the direction that you want to. And then eventually, of course, we all, the ultimate is for them to get to the point where they ask us what we do. And so tonight we're going to cover some scenarios that you're not going to be able to use them directly, but you need to develop your own pitch, and I'm going to give you a formula to this. Now, I found this quite amusing, so I added this on because a lot, and I have seen this happen, where people have just blabbed all over the other person, and we call that prospect having blackouts, which an elevator pitch that is disconnected from the rest of your marketing is really a lot of wasted time. It's like the blind leading the blind, you know. So to get on with this, I know that a lot of you are, you know, you're at this point where you're talking to everyone, and I love this little thing. It's called multiple ideal customer personality disorder. We just talk to anyone and everyone. Now, I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with this, because there isn't, okay? But if you focused on a prospect market, you would progress much quicker. For example, if I spoke to every single person who went to the physio because I know that they need my products, my result would be less than if I just went straight to the physio and spoke to him, because he is going to see the business opportunity, and at the same time he's going to want to help his people, and I'm going to cover more ground if I talk to him. So the ideal thing is to identify your market and then to approach that way. So in other words, working more smart than hard. And there's a saying in marketing that goes like this: if you are marketing to everyone, you are marketing to no one. Okay, so that's just a little bit of a thought. And so now I'm going to let the team share a few of the way that they approach the market and the way and the scenario that they give. So as I said, we have 3 guests on. First up will be Carolyn from Port Elizabeth, and then we have Terry, who is also from Port Elizabeth. And you'll see that both Carolyn and Terry's styles are completely different. And this is really what's interesting and what I think we could learn about tonight, that there are different ways of approaching this. Some people lead with the business, some people lead with the products. We've seen how successful it's been just recently in the USA, where people are leading with, leaders are leading with the business and getting people that are interested in making money into the business and are growing really incredibly quickly. And so I'm not saying that we mustn't look at the product side of it, because I know and I'm quite aware that some of you on this webinar tonight do lead with the products first. But later on, just before the end of the webinar, we will have another guest that will share with us why it's important to look at what the angle that's being used now if you're really serious about growing your business quickly. So I'm going to open up your line, Carolyn. Carolyn, are you there?
Yes, I'm here, Anne.
Okay, Carolyn, thank you for joining us tonight. Would you like to take it off and say, when people ask you what it is you do, how do you go about it, and what is your pitch for what it is you do? So if you're talking to me and you've led me up to the question where I'm saying, okay, so what is it that you do? How do you approach that?
Okay, it depends who I'm actually being approached by or who I'm having a chat to. If I've had a conversation with them for a couple of minutes and I realize that they are very big into gymming or health or just exercise, then I will try and lead them to tell me what they do for a living. Or I'll just ask them outright, what do they do for a living? And then normally once a person has revealed what they do and you are interested in what they do, you ask questions on how do you enjoy your job, etc. They will normally turn around and say, well, what do you do for a living? And that's exactly what I want them to say. That's what I want. I want that question. So depending on what I've figured out their lifestyle is, I will say, well, I help moms to make a great income working from home. Or I'll even elaborate on that. I'll say I help moms to make a great income working from home so that they don't have to feel guilty about missing out on time with their kids. Or if I realize that they're a business owner and maybe they say, oh, times are tough at the moment, I'll say to them, I help small business owners to boost their monthly income so they can sleep well at night, knowing they don't have to worry about their retirement fund. And normally they'll ask, well, how do you do that? Which leads me to say, well, if you give me your email address, I'll send you some information. So another example is, well, I help baby boomers to feel healthy and have tons of energy so that they don't miss out on fun times with their grandchildren and other priorities. And then they will say, well, how do you do that? So you say, I will give me your email address, and I'll send you an online presentation. And just to carry on with that, if I'm on the phone and I'm phoning up a stranger, I normally introduce myself obviously first, and then I normally tell them where I've got their contact details. It normally breaks the ice a little bit. So then, if I don't have their contact details, like their card, their business card, I'll ask them what they do for a living, and then I'll compliment them. On judging from the answer, I'll say to them, well, you sound like you're a dynamic business person who takes their profession or job very seriously. And they'll say, oh, thank you very much. And then I say, I'm working with a company that's expanding in your area, and I'm looking for some sharp people that might be interested in some additional cash flow. So my question to you is, are you open-minded in terms of making some extra money on a part-time basis outside of what you're currently doing at the moment? And they're going to say, yes, of course I am. So then you say, well, that's great. I found a way to make a great income without any risks. If I send you the details in the form of an online presentation, would you be able to watch it? So they've already said that they're open-minded, so then they definitely will say yes. So you get their email address, and you say to them, so if I call you on Monday at 6 p.m., will you have viewed the presentation? So you're putting them on a spot. So they will say yes, or maybe they won't. They'll say, well, leave it till Tuesday at by 4 o'clock I will have watched it. And if they ask what it's about, say you're in a hurry and you will find out, and all the information will be in the presentation, so that you don't, you're not tempted to spend the next 5 minutes blurting out your business. And if they say, how much will it cost, for example, say, well, if this is not exactly what you're looking for, then it'll cost you nothing. And then they say, okay, well, okay, and then you say, well, thank you for your time, and you get off the phone. So that should take you 30 seconds, maximum 45 seconds. And then I just want to say about stories. I'm very big on the storytelling. When you're sitting in front of somebody, don't concentrate on retailing and don't focus on recruiting that person. Focus on telling a story. And if you're new, if you're new to Visa and you don't have your own story yet, use somebody else's story. Like I use Cheryl's story more than any other story. Or when you start, when you've been in Visa a little longer, tell them about your product story or why you got started. But write it down and memorize it so that whenever you meet somebody new, you can just say it off pat. It just rolls off your tongue. So storytelling. Make up, I wouldn't say make up a story, but get your story straight and write it down, memorize it. And so when somebody asks you, what do you do for a living? I don't say the story straight away, but you've got your story ready. And I hope that's been some value to you guys. Thanks, Anne.
Thanks very much, Carolyn. That's really great. I'm sure that someone's taken something out of that. I know it's always, if you're a new person, it's always difficult to absorb everything. But I mean, I am recording this. You can listen to it, and there's so much information on the internet, and also in literature on how to go about it. When you start this business, that's the first thing you should be doing is your why you're in the business, and to try to understand yourself after you've realized, like Carolyn says, you know, get your story, or use someone else's story, but write it down, get it to be part of you, and be genuine, because that's really the main thing, is to be genuine. People mustn't sit with you and feel like you're just sort of memorizing stuff, or you're just parrot repeating stuff. It's got to come from your heart, and it's all about caring for that other person. So you're not going to learn it like a parrot and sound like a parrot. But yeah, thanks very much, Carolyn. That was amazing. Okay, so I'm going to ask, Terry is going to give us a little chat, and Terry does it very differently. Terry, can you hear me?
I'm here, Anne.
Yes. Okay. So Terry, you've heard so far what's been going on. Can you add something of value?
Yes, I'm sure I can. I'll give you my opinion for what it's worth. But first things first, I'd just like to welcome everybody to the webinar. And I hope you've all had a fabulous Easter weekend. Unfortunately, it's back to business, and that's what we're attending to right now. I think for me, the biggest thing is that I need to find out what an individual's why is. As we as multi-level marketers need to have a why to drive our business, I think you also need to, with anybody that you're prospecting, find out what their why is as to why they would possibly need to use of the V-Side products. And once you've found out what their why is, you tend to have gained their confidence, and that they start to open up from you. And from there, you can lead in the direction that you're intending to go. So that would be either as a user of product, or as someone that you'd like to prospect into your team. And there are two phrases that I tend to use, and I think V-Side's punchline is a really, really good one, from the point of view that, you know, our whole endeavor is to try and help everybody to lead their best life. And in that case, we've already made our intentions clear in that we want to actually help the person, whether it be, you know, a financial remuneration, or whether it be helping them with an issue that they've battled with for years and years and don't know where to go to get any answers. And what I've also found is that it's also really, really important in your approach to speaking to somebody not to waffle off, as Carolyn was saying, but what you need to understand is that people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So as soon as you've given the indication that you care about them and that you're wanting to help them, as I say, they really soften up to you, and that way you, depending on the situation, can find your niche with that particular individual. And I think that's about all I have to say. I think, you know, it's different for every single partner out there. Everybody has their own way of doing things, and I think probably the most important thing about scripts or about pitching is that you need to be confident in what you're doing, because, you know, if you're on the back foot, all of a sudden you're not convincing. So whatever it is, or whatever pitch you use, make sure that you're well versed with it, and secondly that you have a fair amount of knowledge that's going to back up how you're going to help the individual. So, you know, from my point of view, I firmly believe that knowledge is power, and, you know, the more knowledge you have, the more scenarios you can take care of. So, and I think with that, I'm going to keep it short and sweet. I'm not going to waffle on, but I think I just wish everybody the best of luck. And I think at the end of the day, just sit down and take the time to work out your pitch. You'll know where your strong points are, and you'll know where your weak points are. And as always, just work with the strong ones. The weak ones will sort themselves out as you go along.
Well, that's amazing, Terry. Thank you very much. But just one more question before you go. What is it when someone says to you, and you've been speaking to them, and you've found that that there's a possibility of presenting the business opportunity to them. And you've gathered that from the conversation, because where it's led up to, they ask you, what do you do? What do you reply?
And normally, if somebody's wanting to take a look at the business opportunity, I've obviously found out, where their soft point is and what it is that they're wanting to try and sort out. So I will work on that, and I will probably send them some basic videos, as in the Sizzler, and then something that would be attached to to the issue that they're trying to help with, and then from there also a presentation video. And once they've watched that, I will then follow up with them. I don't give them much information to start with. I let the computer do the talking. There are a lot of videos out there that are really well done and that are very convincing and give you good coverage and a broad spectrum of the business, the products, and everything else that goes with it.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's great.
Well,
thank you very much, Terry, for sharing. That was really great.
Thank you for giving me the time.
It's a pleasure. Okay, so that was interesting, and it does take time to get to where Carolyn and Terry is, but when you start to see that you need to make it part of you, and that it must be natural, and that you must be genuine, and you just need to just be you, with a plan in your head, as you know what you're going to say, to a point, of course, because you got to go with the conversation. But so what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to show you the way that I've worked out, because obviously I like to be organized in the sense that if someone asks me what I'm going to do, what do I do, I need to know, after having a pre-conversation with them, knowing where they are at because I've asked the right questions. I like to have a juicy little intro as to what I do, to pique them to a point where they they say, well, how do you do that? Or they become interested. And these are just the guidelines. So it works for me, and it might not work for you, but on these sessions we just share and we learn from everyone, and we take what we want and we lose what we don't. Okay, so the next slide, I'm just going to confirm again. First of all, for me, what I do is I'm clear on my ideal customer or my ideal prospect. I decide who it is I'm going to target, and I have a certain pitch for each one of those targeted prospects. Okay, so that is important. Like, for instance, if I'm talking to a physio, I would try to connect with him emotionally, which is where I'm going to go with my next slide. It's basically what you have to do is you've got to get onto the emotional side to connect with them, so that they are interested in what you have to say. So I'm just going to say that again. The most important part of this training is for you to see the bigger picture, and you start getting emotionally connected with the right prospects. Okay, so for example, if you say that if someone says, what do you do, and you say, oh, I'm in the health industry, because they might be a gym owner or a gym trainer or whatever. They might be in that industry. So for me, it's not something extraordinary. And they might say, oh, okay, well, so what do you do? Because really I haven't answered what I do. I've said I'm in the health industry. And so what I normally say is, if, for instance, I know that I'm with a person, and I'm using a physio because I've had some experience with the physios lately. If they say, well, what is it that you do? And I say, well, I work with people with who have chronic pain. Okay, this is the emotional connection, because so do they, and they relate to it. Okay, because they're doing it themselves. So they listen, and they say, oh, really? Well, and then I go in further. But I don't want to jump the gun, but I I'll talk to you about how I go. So first of all, I have 3 versions of juicy intros, okay? Because different ideal prospect groups need to hear different things. I mean, obviously, if I'm sitting in a plane next to a person who is, you know, who's on crutches, for instance, and struggled into his seat, and I find out that he's just a person that's owning this massive corporate company, and he's very involved with his work and whatever. And the way that he speaks, is not the type of person that's going to be interested in looking at the business prospect opportunity, but he will be interested in looking at the products. Then I have a different approach to that. Okay, so firstly, you have this is the way I work. So I'm just saying you can work differently, but normally the 3 versions is, first I have my primary ideal group. Now this would be, my pitch would be focused on a business line. So I would be using, I would be leading with the business first, okay? And then of course referral partners. If they're not interested, then I'll say, well, who do you know that would be interested, or who might need to look at an opportunity like this. And then I have the 3rd group, which is the secondary. So that would be my product line. So I have a intro for each one of those sections. Okay, so what I do is I start off with planning my juicy intro, and when I talk to someone, always talking to them about, you know, I will always say I work with or I help, okay, because it connects me to whatever I'm going to say next, and then I will use an ideal customer or an ideal prospect. Okay, I'm just giving you the guidelines now, but I'm going to elaborate on this a little bit more later. And then what I do is I add on in my sentence, I say who want to or who need. Okay, so it qualifies me, and it's a benefit. So that is where the first interest level will lie. And then I say and I give a second juicy benefit, so that they, in my intro, they get enough information, and it's short and sweet. It's less than 30 seconds, and I've answered everything that they want to know about me and what I do. Okay, so for instance, let's go. This is the first one. All right, just give me 1 second here. I work with or I help small business owners ready for growth, okay, who want to stand out from their competitors, who want to translate their unique passion into their marketing. Okay, so this really is from my marketing company. If people said, what do you do? I say, you know, I work with small to medium-sized business owners who are ready for growth, and they want to stand out from their competitors, and they want to get the uniqueness into their marketing, and that's how I help them. That's where I place them in the market, and I help them get to what the objectives are. So this is really what I used previously in my marketing company. Then another example would be I help families with financial challenges who need to get a handle on their debt and create a plan for them to realize the life they've dreamt about. So, you know, that is something that I would use where if we've been talking about how bad the situation is in South Africa, and people and the person that I'm chatting to saying, geez, you know, I want to find something that's going to generate money and have some sort of financial security, then I'll say, well, you know, that's amazing. In fact, you know, what I do. That's exactly what I do. I help families with financial challenges. And then, you know, you lead on from there. And the second part, the who need to, is important, because the person then, after you've spoken to them, can relate to what you're talking about, and you add on the juicy little bit, second juicy bit at the end. Okay, so then the next one that an example, and I'm just giving you a few examples because it's really great to see in different ways how you use this. Okay, so the next one is, I work with open-minded women who are struggling to get pregnant and who are willing to face changes to get their baby that they want. I don't I don't actually help them get their baby, but in a case where there's women have been in clinics and they have been, you know, I have a friend who is really struggling to get pregnant, and it's about her whole body is out of whack. I mean, her body is upside down, inside out, and her mind as well. So she's not falling pregnant, and so our products can do a lot for this type of person. In many ways, the products could do a lot. This particular person would not be interested in going into the business, because their business would be, and I'm speaking from my friend's point of view, would be to have a baby. That's their business. They want to have a baby. They want to look after the baby. They don't want to do anything else. So, you know, that would make them think, oh, okay. And then they would ask me, well, how do you do that? How do you help women get pregnant? Well, I help them to clean up their system, detox. I help them to get their mindset right and to put collagen back into the body, and so on and so on. I'm just talking over the top of my head here now, but I mean, I'm sure that you get my drift. And the last one that I use a lot when I'm talking to people that I know and I've got a lead that they are having health issues is, I say that I help people in chronic pain who are tired of taking drugs, who want natural solutions for pain relief, and they want to take control of their health. And then the person will connect with me, because it's an emotional thing. I'm showing my passion. I don't agree with drug taking. I think taking medications cause other problems. Not in all cases. I'm not saying in all cases that we don't need it. Yes, there are cases that we do need to have those medications and stuff when we're having crucial operations or whatever we need. But I'm saying that, you know, this is what I put across. I put across my passion and my emotion. I want to help people do it the natural way, give them a natural solution to pain relief. That's what I do. And the person will say, jeepers, how do you do that? And then I'll say, well, I have this collagen protein that is absolutely amazing. It's a toffee. And, you know, then they want to know more. And so we go on. So those are just juicy intros to get people, to pique people's interests. And again, this is not all set in stone. This is purely what you, the scenario that you're in, the circumstances, the type of person that you're talking to. So, you know, it depends on a whole lot of things. So again, just one more time, you need a primary, you need one for referrals. So if someone doesn't want to come in the business because you pitched them the business, you say, well, who do you know might be interested? And a secondary, you need to look at the products. And yes, I do talk business and then products. And our next guest is Cheryl, and Cheryl's going to be taking us on how she does things. And so, you know, and after you've answered the question as to what do you do, you get all the other type of questions that you need to prepare yourself for. Because if you answer with one of these options of what is it that you do, of course you need to know how you do it. And as I said in the previous in what I've just said, you say, well, how do you do it? How do you get people to take the natural you know, the natural route? And I would say, well, you know, I have a collagen product. So you need to know how do you do it. That's important. When you're saying whatever you're saying as to what you do, you need to have a you know, how you do it as well. give a business card. Some people don't want to give business cards, that's fine. But have a card ready, or take their card, but get the information in some way or other, because that information, you're going to need it to follow up and to call. So you need to have that ready. And if the person is really interested, where the business card does help is that you've got your link on the card, and most of the time I've seen it where I've stopped talking to the person and they've actually gone to my link on their phone instantly. And my phone beeps because it tells me when they go on my site. So, you know, those little things are really important, and you need to have all of those things in place for you to flow through things and make life easier for you and make things more natural. And so they have already spoken about all of that already. And so now I've just added this slide because I feel that there are still some people who have been in the business for a while, and my question is, can you identify with this? Is this you? Okay, are you it's simple, are you moaning? Are you finding excuses why things are not working for you? I mean, after a year, you know, I always say, how do you know how close you are? Are you just going to give up now? You've already been in the business for a whole year. You know, just take a step back and ask yourself one question. Have I done whatever it takes to get to wherever I want to be? Okay, and if the answer is no, then look at a way within your team to change this. And if the answer is yes, and you're being truly 100% honest with yourself, then you know, then maybe this business is not for you. But for me, I believe that I really believe that if you believe that you can or you can't do anything, that you're right. And I mean, I've used that phrase often in my webinars. I'm really got to the point where someone says, "Oh, no one gets what I do," or there's no people in my area that you know, that gets this type of business. You know, so just try to group with your team, see what they're doing. Attend the webinars and try to learn something from this, and always be involved in the positive actions, because the business is working for other people. So if the business is working for other people, then at the end of the day, sorry to say this so bluntly, but it must be something that you're not doing right. So I'm going to just pull on Cheryl, and Cheryl is going to share some of her viewpoints with us. Trying to find you here, Cheryl. Cheryl, can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you very well, and okay. Congratulations on your wedding. I'm sure that everyone on the team feels the same.
Thank you very much, and welcome everyone to the call. And Carolyn and Terry, that was great information. And Anne, of course, you always do a fabulous job. And so thank you for asking me to share just a few of the things that I do. And so I'll just go right to that. You know, generally, probably 95% of the time, I lead with the business because I'm looking for business builders. I've gone through my warm market, basically, so it's more of a cold market, and I find those people through either leads that I've purchased, that I know that they're people that are looking for some sort of an opportunity, or it's social media, and I've developed relationships. But I think, first of all, it all starts with posture and rapport. And so even though, you know, I've got that card, for example, or that cold call that I'm doing, what I'm going to say to that person is I'm going to have the tone of voice that has great posture, so that, you know, it's not going to matter to me whatsoever if they say no, if they hang up, if they're rude. if they're arrogant, I don't care. I'm looking for a few of the right people. And so when I make that call to that cold market person, you know, I found their card wherever or whatever it is, I'm really going to just say, oh, hi, Joe, this is Cheryl. You know, I got your information, and I'm going to say where I got the information. And listen, you know, I just have a quick question for you. I'm really in a hurry because I'm jumping on a conference call, or I'm on my way out the door to a meeting. You know, one of those things that tell them this is not a long conversation. And so then I'm just going to say, do you have a second? They're going to obviously say yes because they have no idea what I want. And so I'm going to say, listen, I just wondered if you, you know, keep your options open in terms of a side project if it didn't interfere with what you're currently doing. So that would be one way that I would say it. Another way that I would add to that, well, first of all, you know, they're going to answer with, well, like really 97%, I'll say, of the time, the person will say, well, yes, you have to today. What have you got? And then I'm going to say, you know, I've partnered with a team of highly successful people. This may not be for you at all, but there's a chance of getting in front of it. So if I send you a link to my call, would you be able to jump on it? So I send them to a tool. And so right now in the U.S., that is a recorded call that's 14 minutes, and there's 3 people on that call. And it's really giving an overview of why I joined the business, what the business is, what the product is, and what timing it's about. And so it's a very well done call, and so that's one of the tools. And so you want to always send them to a tool, whether it be that tool or it be a link or a video, but I want to send something that is about business because I've made the call about business. And so because you can always end with product, but you can't start with product and then go back and end with business. Because if the person is not interested in the product, they're certainly never going to be interested in business. Where there are people that, you know, really think at the time, oh, I don't need a product, but I certainly need to make money. And so I really learned that the hard way over the years, and of following my own mentors and the leaders around the world that, you know, make those multi-millions of dollars. It's really leading with the business. And so that's how I do that. And so then let me just, that's basically. Anne, did you want me to talk any further on any other of these details?
So when someone says to you, Cheryl, what is it that you do? Like, say you're in one-on-one, you just sat next to someone, and you're chatting with them, and they say, Cheryl, what is it that you do?
Well, I don't ever answer that question just openly. I first want to develop rapport with the person that's asking it. So if I just sat down, you know, in a movie theater and the movie hadn't started, and the person started chatting to me or wherever, I want to know about them so that then my answer can relate to something that they're needing. So, you know, if I notice that they're limping or they're wearing a knee brace, I'm going to ask, well, you know, what happened to your knee? Or, oh, do you come to the theater often? How long have you lived in this town? You know, I'm going to find out about them because people want to talk about themselves more than they want to hear about you. And so that's just how I do it. And so then what I would do, like just to get to what I actually do in that conversation. So let's just say that, you know, in the conversation the person said that, oh, they had just lost their job, they were looking for a way to add to their income, or their wife had lost her job, or, you know, their car had broke down, or, I mean, there's so many things that can come out of a conversation. And you can pick one of those things, and then you use our business to approach on that particular topic. And so, you know, if they said, well, you know, I've lost my job, I would then say, well, you know, if I could show you a way that you could add $200 or $300 a week to your income, would you be open to looking? Because first of all, you have to have the person open. They have to say that, yeah, I want to see that. I want to know about that. Because if you get that body language that they're not even open to looking, well, I don't want to waste my time with it. So, you know, and then I'm going to give them a tool. I'm never going to sit and explain my business, because what that does when I do that is that's telling them, oh, if I started this business, I would have to know everything she knows. And even though I could give them a presentation inside out about our business, but I don't want them to think that. I want them to know that, oh, this is simple. She just sent me to a link. She sent me to this doctor or to this recording or to this, you know, website, whatever the tool is. So that's really how I do it, because I'm really, it's like finding the ripe fruit on the tree, or as Kent Lewis, the CEO of the company, says, it's like shucking oysters. You're looking for the oyster with the pearl. And so you've got to get through a lot of oysters before you find the pearl. And it's like, you know, if you had a dump truck full of oysters, a huge big dump truck, and you knew that there was one pearl that was worth $1 million in that dump truck, you would keep shucking until you found it. You would just throw it until you found the right one. And that's really what this is like. And so then another approach that I do use, and this is not too often, but I'll give you an example to it, is the other day, like I was at this health fair where I had a table. And at the health fair, I was showing the product. So I was just talking product. But the people at that health fair, it was about product. So that's a different scenario. But as I was walking out the door, there was this woman that Rudy was going to buy something from her table. And so she limped over to take his money and to deal with him. And so I just said to her, it looks like you're in a lot of pain. And she said, yes. And I said, do you have arthritis? And she said, yes. And I said, listen, if you want to give me your phone number, I'll call you with something that Rudy and I both got rid of our pain with. And she said, okay. And she wrote it down. Now she's a customer. She's a monthly auto ship customer. So, you know, I mean, you just have to go with your gut and your intuition. And it's a simple business, but sometimes, you know, we make it really difficult because we worry too much about what we're going to say, where we have all these fabulous tools that if we get the person in front of the tool, we let the tool do the work for us. And so I just want to add one other thing, if I could, Anne, and that's about systems and training, because you can bring in dozens and dozens, hundreds of people, but if you don't have a system for them to just jump right into so that they can start building immediately, then often you lose that person. And I've done that in the past. I mean, we haven't always had a great system that really works. And if you're watching the growth of VSI on Facebook and all the people that ranked up in week before last, it's all because they use a definite system, and it's very, very duplicatable. So you see, what I just shared with you was very duplicatable. It's just finding out about what it is that their need is and sending them to the tool. That's very duplicatable. And this system is very duplicatable. So it's a 4-page document that I believe Anne and probably everyone there has. And in there is even little scripts. But what you want to do, first of all, with that person is if they're going to come in as a business builder and buy a package, you want them to get their launch call set up right away. And so we're at the convention, and I'm so sorry that all of you can't be at the convention, because first and foremost, I would love to be meeting each and every one of you. And so at the convention, we're going to be doing a lot of specific training on that system, and we'll be able to take it all home with you. And so you know, I have never been so excited with this company in my entire life. I mean, yes, all year it's been fabulous, but it's like we're brand new again, because you know, when we launched the ProVita and then the Nufina, and now we're launching the additional products to the wellness, which will soon be available to you as well. And it's like a brand new company all over again. So there's huge things that will be coming back to you from that convention. I could go on and on, so I best stop.
Okay, Cheryl. You're just absolutely awesome, Cheryl, and thank you very much for giving up your time to share that with us, and of course it's always of value, so thank you for that.
Thank you so much for having me, and congratulations to all of you for everything that you're doing there.
Okay, that's great. All right, so that's it for this evening, and I will post the link up for our next training session, but I think that we need to look at working towards a daily method of operation where we have a plan of action. I'm working with Cheryl on looking at exactly what the leaders are doing in the United States, is ranking them up so quickly. And yes, we do have a different market here, but you know what? There's opportunity out there, and so we never give up. So thank you very much for attending again, and have a wonderful Monday evening. Ciao for now.